We're going to talk about deadlift a little bit. I'm going to keep the lecture short. I'm going to get you guys on the platforms as quick as I can. A lot of these concepts Grant already touched on, went over. I won't be pulling the wrench out or anything. He took care of the physics stuff, but I will be calling back to some things. But why do we deadlift, right? The deadlift is a simple lift. And not an easy lift, but it's a simple lift. Simple in theory, right? We're picking heavy stuff off the ground. People have been doing that since the dawn of time. And so, you guys will all walk out of here today with a pretty good understanding of how you should deadlift, right? So picking heavy stuff off the floor, we are going to teach you a way to do it so that is reproducible every time you go to the bar, all right? As far as why we deadlift, why do we choose deadlift? And you guys have probably seen different variations of deadlift, picking kettlebells off the floor, sumo deadlift, Romanian deadlift, right? So for our novices, we just call this the deadlift. And why do we choose the conventional deadlift that has a heavy emphasis on utilizing the back? Meets our criteria. Grant went over the criteria earlier. It's going to recruit more muscle mass. It is going to then, like say the sumo deadlift, it's going to allow for heavier weights to be lifted, and it's training a long and effective range of motion. So, and it's the best way to build a strong back, all right? And back's always a huge concern for people. We can't tell you how many people come to us. I had this spinal fusion. I had a catastrophic injury here. Every time I go to deadlift, it hurts. It hurts my back, and pretty much all those people, we get them deadlifting, and it's a non-issue. Having a strong back, right? Now, having a little bit of back pain here and there, it's kind of part of the human condition. For my starting strength people, you guys have heard Rip say that. You've seen that. But that isn't an excuse not to have a strong back, right? Grant gets up out of the morning sometimes and his back aches. Mine does too. But having a strong back, you're basically putting armor and muscle on your back, and you're going to be more resistant to injury. And not only a strong back, but a useful back, right? We're going to use a barbell today. We love barbell. It's a ergonomically friendly tool and is infinitely scalable. We have a barbell for anyone in here that's going to deadlift today. It could go as low as like 35 pounds, and you guys can pull a deadlift from the proper height all the way up until, the heaviest deadlifts in the world are 1,000 pounds, all right? But doing that and lifting maximum weights for sets of 5 on a deadlift is going to prepare you for things that aren't maybe as efficient in the real world, right? Picking up a stroller, right? Taking a lawnmower out of the back of your truck, right? Putting, all the things that people tweak their back. Rip says all the time, like the number one reason why people miss time at work is because they screwed their back up. They have a back injury. Whether it's chronic or acute, they miss work time because of that. As far as, right, making everyday tasks easier, and then it also just trains the mind to do hard things. What's cool about deadlift is there's no easy way. There's no way to really cheat through a deadlift. Now, you guys have all seen poorly executed deadlifts with rounded backs and all kinds of stuff, but you still, to finish a deadlift, you have to pick it up off the ground, and you have to lock it out. A squat, you could squat high, quarter squat. There's no getting around that in deadlift, all right? So it's going to train your mind to do things that are difficult and do things that are maybe slow. It's not going to happen immediately. You have to be disciplined. You have to be absolutely focused on what you're doing. And so that's kind of the other benefit to people learning how to deadlift. So as far as like force production, right, Grant hit on it earlier. This lift is going to be force is going to be generated by knee extension, much like the squat that you guys just did. Knee extension starting to break the bar off the floor. It's going to be transmitted through hip extension, right? We're standing up with the barbell. That makes sense at lockout. But it's also, force is going to be transmitted through a rigid spine. But eventually, the whole point of this is we want to get you guys stronger. You're going to be pulling maximal loads. And those maximal loads are not going to budge unless they're directly over the middle of your foot. All right? So any deviation from that straight line right over the middle of the foot is representing extra work that we're going to have to do to complete the rep. And we're not into doing extra work because you have a wobbly bar path or the bar gets in front of you. We want to make things harder by adding more weight next time. All right? So more efficiency means more weight for you guys. So this kind of demonstrates it right here. Top one's good. Bar is starting right over the middle of the foot. It is moving in a straight line. All right? We got a little wobble here. Some of you guys are going to deadlift today and the bar is going to get away from you. That's extra work that you have to do. So not only are you working that load against gravity, you have to work to get it back to the middle of the foot and up. So keys to success for today. And you guys are going to coach up a little bit too. So these are things that we are looking for when someone's setting up. This is the optimal pulling position. All right. Your feet are flat. There's a slight shin angle. That's going to help our quads break the bar off the ground to start the lift. Shoulders are slightly in front of the bar. Our back, lumbar and thoracic is in extension. Grant went over, right, how to kind of set your back. We'll talk about it in a second, right? Not overextension, but extension. Arms are straight, locked out. Now we call this a pull. It's casually referred to as, hey, we're gonna pull heavy today. We're pulling, right? Get this out of your head right now. We're not pulling this weight, okay? Our arms are gonna be long and straight. And they're gonna be slightly, right? They're not gonna be hanging vertical. They're slightly hanging. That has to do with the way your lats connect to the head of the humerus. It just connects a certain way so that our arms are not gonna be straight. We've got a 90-degree angle right there. The bar is gonna travel up the legs over the midfoot in a straight vertical line, all right? We've got some people with shorts on, right? Some of you guys have leggings on. Bar is gonna be in contact with our legs the whole time. That's another coaching point that we're looking for. So it might be a little bit difficult if you got shorts on, don't have long socks, but you guys will survive, I promise.
We sell socks too.
We sell socks, made in America.
Right.
They're wonderful. All right, so looking at these keys to success, these are things you guys are gonna be looking for when you're watching someone else lift. You might think everything's gonna look the same from person to person. It's not, right? Grant talked a little bit about anthropometry. We are different body types in here. Some of us are torso dominant, right? You have a really long torso length compared to, you might have short legs. My wife, I joke around with her, I'm like, you're like built like a corgi. You are all torso and your legs are tiny, right? When she sets up in the deadlift, right, it's gonna look more like this. So which deadlift is wrong? It's a trick question. They're all correct, but they look different because we've got different torso lengths, right? Really long tibia, shorter tibia, really long femur. So just know when you're looking at these things, the bar for all three lifters is still over the middle of the foot. The shoulders are slightly in front of the bar, right? The feet are flat, and so on. So you'll start kind of getting the key. We'll set you up in the right position. This is just some anatomy. I kind of already talked about it. Traps are working. Rhomboids are working. Lats we're going to use to kind of anchor the bar to our legs. I won't bore you guys with all the anatomy. Can you set your back? Guys, I'll stand up real quick. We'll just do this right since we're all here. So in my experience, and for those of you guys in your PT practice, you might have noticed this. My background is all, other than the strength co, it's coaching high school athletics. And in general, I found that guys, and more specifically like teenage boys, they have never thought about using their lower back muscles. They're just not good at it. Females, right, are really good. They're a little bit more flexible. And Grant was talking about overextension earlier. You're gonna have a tendency to maybe go an overextension. We're gonna have to coach and cue you out of that. So everyone turn around and you're gonna pull your shirt tight, okay? And I want you to contract the muscles in your lower back. So like this. And Grant can kind of work around and feel it. You should be able to feel it. And you can kind of feel the person next to you. You should be able to put your fingers on their lower back muscles right here. So I'm gonna use the example, Jacob, because you know how to do it. So Jacob, face this way. He's pulling his shirt tight. He's relaxed right now, right? So set your back. Okay, see how he popped his butt out? That's overextension. Do we want him lifting an overextension? No. All right, so can you go flexion? Can you like bend over a little bit? Just kind of be flexion. So flexion, extension, that's our normal anatomical position, and then get into overextension. Just pop your butt out again. There we go, overextension. So lifting an overextension is just as bad as lifting in flexion, right? And some would argue it's even worse, all right? So, but what we found is if people can't control these muscles enough to go into overextension, you can relax now, then they're not gonna be able to hold this in rigid extension under load, all right? So this is kind of a quick test that you can give yourself. You can stand and try it.
So one question again. You said that when you pop out your back,
overextension. Yeah. So how we can cue that, right, is under load, contracting your abs. When you guys get that hoop tension, when you take your big breath and do that Valsalva, that'll pull you neutral, all right? But what we found for most guys is if you can't control this in overextension, you're not gonna be able to hold it in rigid extension, all right? So what we're doing is, by doing this, we're not saying you need to lift an overextension. What we're saying is there needs to be a connection between your brain and setting those muscles. You need to learn. That's a skill that you need to learn as a lifter. Grant.
So he can't do it.
Okay,
So
perfect. Yep. Come on over here.
There's always
I was gonna say, there's always one, and I'm glad there is. So there's So there's a couple things you could do, all right? Now on the platform, we'll point, we'll jab, we'll poke, we'll yell, we'll maybe even slap a little bit to try to get you to make that connection to your back. But what we're gonna do is we're gonna point out extension and a few different things. I want you just completely relaxed, and I want you to puff your Pepsi Cola logo up to my hand. So pull your chest up, pull your chest up. Try to reach into my hand. little bit better, right? So he puffed his chest up, thoracic extension. And we worked on that in the squat today, right? When we took that big breath before we unracked the bar, we puffed our chest up, all right? So let's check lower back, set your back. No, it's nothing. It's not firing. That's fine. Okay, I do a little drill called Superman drill. All right, I'm gonna assume you've never been arrested before. So I'm gonna have you lay down like you are, chest down on the ground, okay? The floor is clean, Grant just mopped it this morning.
Just not.
All right, put your arms down. So this is a way, this is for drilling purposes. This isn't gonna like all of a sudden make him stronger so that he can do this in a deadlift. What it's doing is trying to create a little bit of a mind-muscle connection to that he knows he can control these muscles, all right? So keep your legs on the ground. I want you to lift, just bring your hands like that, okay? Actually, put them out in front of you like you're Superman. Make it look cooler, Superman. All right, cool. Lift your chest up off the ground, but keep your legs on the ground. Up, higher, 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 thoracic extension, okay? Go ahead and relax. Keep your chest on the ground. I want you to lift your quads, your toes, just your legs off the ground as high as you can. Up, 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 higher, higher, higher. Okay, lumbar extension. He could do it. He just didn't know he could do it. Relax. Okay, now what I'll have people do that are stubborn and they don't know that they could do it, I'm gonna burn them up a little bit, get some lactate in their muscles and squeeze until this cramps, all right? We're gonna hold it for 5 seconds. Take a big breath, squeeze up, legs up again, legs up, hold it, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, down. Okay. And again, up, 5, harder, get them higher, higher, 4, 3, 2, 1. It's supposed to suck. Okay, big breath. And up, legs up, high, high, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Good, hop up on the ground. Back up on your feet. You did good.
He's like, I didn't know I had to convert.
Yeah. Okay, so you're not done, you're not done. So I want you to set the muscles that are tired right now, that are burning a little bit. Do the same thing. See how you like lifted your legs up? Right there, all right? Do it again. Better, right? Went from no wrinkles to wrinkles, all right? So he could do it, you just need to make the connection for him. So that's a helpful drill. It's not a strengthening drill, it's just a way to do that. I can't tell you how many times I had to do it. Pretty much every 15-year-old boy and freshman football that I've ever met had to do that, right? They grow up, right? Guys, what do we care about? We look into the muscles, our chest, our biceps, right? So girls are the opposite problem. They're gonna be, and I'm gonna have to cue the heck out of their abs to get them neutral, all right? I go from coaching freshman football team in the weight room to coaching my wife's cheer team, and all the girls are double jointed when they go down and bend the bar. So it's just interesting. So you guys, like PTs, you guys are gonna say, you are done. You did great. You did great.
Good job, man. Yeah.
So that's not to throw gender-based blanket statements, right? That's not 100%, but right, we're seeing that. We tend to see that more in females. I don't know. There's you can draw up your own theories as to why that is. All right, so I'm going to be very brief on this because this is more beneficial on the platform. But we have 5 steps to set you up in that optimal lifting position that we talked about earlier. You don't even need to take a picture of this. You're going to leave here. It's going to be in the hard drive. All right. You're going to memorize this. All right. So it's stance, grip, shins, chest up, pull. You don't need to know what that sounds like yet. So we're going to skip this. I have this all documented. This is all in the book. There's been millions of videos made by Starting Strength. Grant and I made a really stupid, silly video with me coaching myself using some camera trickery. So you can look that up. So don't worry about you're going to leave here today memorizing it. So we're going to go ahead and break it up we'll take questions later, right, Grant? Grip.
Yeah. All questions. Unless you have anything specific to the deadlift right now, at the end we'll do all your questions.
We'll talk grip, we'll talk equipment, we'll talk about why we don't sumo, all that stuff. So you guys cool? Is there any burning questions right now before we get on the platform? No? All right, cool. I'm gonna need a volunteer. There's a reason why we didn't go grab these 25-pound plates and put them on. What would that do? That would completely change the mechanics of the lift. That would lower the bar. So it's important that when you're teaching this movement and this setup procedure, if you're just like, all I have are the metals or the 10s, throw them on, it completely changes the lift, all right? So you wanna make sure that if you have to go lighter with someone, either use a lighter bar or you hopefully have the benefit of a 10-pound bumper. That's the normal diameter, 25 and so on. So we don't warm up with the deadlift with an empty bar. We would call this the empty bar. All right, cool. Volunteer, Justin, come on, step over here. So first step here, you're gonna step on this side of the bar, is the stance, okay? Now some people will say, hey, get in your vertical jump stance, however when's the last time you guys did a vertical jump? I don't know, but so I'll just call it hip width apart. It's a little bit inside of our squat stance, okay? So that is gonna be our stance, and you are going to approach the bar so that your shins are 1 inch from the bar, okay? And bring your stance in. More. There. Okay. So this is the key. Don't move your feet. You had them fine.
Okay.
What we are doing, why I'm saying 1 inch is because this works for pretty much everybody. We are setting the barbell over the middle of the foot. All right. We're going to harp on the middle of the foot all day. We talked about heavy weights can only be pulled if they're over the middle of the foot. So we're going to take all the preamble out. I'm sure you guys have seen on YouTube, if you've seen all the world records being pulled, powerlifters do all kinds of crazy stuff. They roll the barbell around, they drop their hips, they scream, they got their buddy slap them in the face, they're moving around. We're going to skip all that, and we're going to put you guys in the position in which heavy weights are pulled. Because if you watch those videos, they do all those things, and as soon as they yell and they're done yelling, they scream, and they go to lift the weight, right before those weights come off the ground, their hips are high, the bar is over the middle of the foot. That's because it has to be that way. So we're going to skip all that silly stuff, and we're going to put you in that position that you need to be in to pull the weight from the start. That way it could be repeated consistently over and over again. We do not want variability in the way we set up. So step 1 is the stance. It's looking like 1 inch from the bar. Bar is over the middle of the foot. Scoot back just a hair, just a hair. Now I want you to look down and take a mental picture of what the bar is covering. You have 2 straps on your shoes, right? So that you can repeat this. You know what I mean? Like, what's the bar covering? Is it covering the shoelaces and so on? Now, you don't get out a ruler and measure 1 inch, right? If you bend over and try to check, what happens when I bend over and try to check? Oh, I didn't move the bar yet, but I moved my shins away from the bar, and then you're like, oh, that's like 4 inches, and then you scoot up, you're too close to the bar, all right? So that mental picture is important, all right? Step 2 is taking a grip. Now, every step we do after this, it's very important that we do not move the barbell. We just spent a considerable amount of time making sure the bar is over the middle of the foot. So the last thing we want to do is move it around, because then we'd have to completely reset. So you're going to make a deal with me, and it's your first time deadlifting.
Yeah.
You're not going to move that bar.
Got it.
Okay. Second step is grip. So keeping your legs as straight as possible. We're not going to lock our legs, because you might have tight hamstrings.
Okay.
You're going to bend over, and you're going to take a grip just outside your legs. Double overhand grip. Good. Bring the grip in just a little bit. Good. Okay. You don't need to hook grip it.
Should be the same, or?
Yeah, they should be the same.
Okay.
Good. Okay, now you are going to bring your knees and shins forward until they touch the bar. Do not move the bar. Boom. Yep, that's fine. Touch. I didn't mean to scare you with my boom.
Okay.
Okay. Okay. Push your knees out a little bit into your arms. Okay, good. All right, big round. Don't worry about your back yet. Don't worry about your back.
Okay.
See this big rounded back? That's okay right now. Okay? So the bar's over the middle of his foot. Shoulders are slightly in front of the bar. Okay? He's got a big rounded back. This next step, he's going to fix that. All right? I want you to set your eyes. I'll give you something to stare at. I say 12 to 15 feet, but we'll just give you something to stare at. Okay? I just want the neck in a neutral position. Take a big breath, and I want you to squeeze your nipples up to the wall. Squeeze, wrinkle your shirt, wrinkle your shirt, wrinkle your shirt. Now drive your feet through the ground, drag the bar up your legs. Okay? And you're going to reverse the motion, finish chest up. All right? That's a full lockout. Hips are extended, knees are extended, chest is up. That's the lockout position. All right? Okay. What you're going to do is you're going to reverse the motion. You're going to bring your butt back, keep the bar on your legs, and then drop the bar. Bring it down, drop it fast. Not bad. We'll work on it. Okay? Okay, relax. So a couple key pointers that I want to point out. So eyes set across the room. That big breath, you actually did a great job not dropping your hips. What we're going to see a lot of today is when you go to squeeze your chest up, what am I trying to make happen when I'm having him squeeze his chest up? Extension. Thoracic extension. But we want to see it cascade down, not just thoracic extension. We need to look at the lumbar as well. All right? Think about that Superman drill, right? When I had Hammy lift his chest up, when I had him lift his chest up and set his lower back, we need to make that happen, but in that position at the bottom. All right? So completely, we found, I mean, there's other cues that we're going to use today, but we found that chest up is the quickest way to get there. All right? So start with that and go from there. All right? So this is going to be tedious. I'm going to have him do this 4 more times. We're not pulling reps in a row. Everyone, when the first time you're doing this, you're going to pull the rep and then completely set up, just so that you're getting the rhythm of how the setup goes. All right? Step 1, stance. Bring your feet in more. Okay. You took that mental picture, so turn your toes out a little bit more. Get it just like you had it last time. Check to make sure heels are even. Good. Okay. Without moving the bar, bend over, take a grip. Nope. Nope. Listen to what I tell you.
The grip first.
Yeah, there you go. Grip. Now, shins forward. Good. Don't drop your hips. Don't squeeze yet. Raise your hips up. Raise your hips up. See how he naturally dropped his hips? That's what people are going to want to do.
Okay.
Eyes. Okay? Take a big breath. Squeeze your chest up. Squeeze your chest up. Eyes on the plate. Eyes on the plate. Squeeze your chest up. Drive your feet. Okay, butt back, down fast. Okay, not exactly how I wanted to put it down. Relax. We'll get it on the next time. I'm going to do
Should I do a little slower?
No, that was fine.
Okay.
I want you to come down fast, right? So what we care about brings up a good point. Do we care in this lift, like in the squat, we have the concentric, we have the eccentric. You're working on both of those, right? Is your body doing work on the way down? Absolutely. You guys are staying tight. All we care about with the deadlift is the concentric, what we do on the way up. What we do on the way down, if we slow it down, all that's going to do is fatigue us for the next rep. So we're not going to be, douchey about it. We're not just going to drop it, right? This isn't CrossFit. We're going to go down. Sorry, Grant. What we're going to do is we call it a controlled drop in here, all right? So we're not going to fatigue ourselves. It's a reverse motion, all right? So butt goes back first and we drag it down our legs, all right? We don't want to fatigue us for the next rep, all right? Good. Okay, let's go ahead and do it again. Step one is stance, okay? Middle of the foot, good. Take a grip. Take a grip wider so that your hands aren't in the way of your legs. Good. Shins forward. Okay, good. Do not drop your hips. Okay? Hips a little higher, right there. Eyes on the plate. Take a big breath. Squeeze your chest up. Drive your feet through the floor. Better job. Okay. Keep the bar on your legs. Send your butt back first. Butt back. Butt backwards. Backwards, backwards, backwards. Now, here's where we're going to try something else. See that middle of your foot?
Yeah.
Where you started? Drop the bar right there. Good. That's like, he's not going to have to do that forever, but until you guys get the hang of it, if you have someone that's just screwing up how to place the bar down, start them doing that, and they'll figure it out. Okay?
Can I look down when I'm placing the bar down? Is that okay?
For now, you
Or
can. For now, you
ideally,
can.
You should have your
That's like training wheels. All right?
Okay, got it.
So until you figure it out, right, we want to reverse motion. The problem is, why does it matter how we put the bar down? What most people do is they'll bend at the knees first. What does that do to the bar? Creates a ramp. Now we're forward to midfoot. Now we have to completely reset again. We want you guys efficient, getting it back down over the middle of the foot right when you finish. All right? So if someone's having a hard time coordinating that, we found that, hey, stare at the middle of your foot. Put the bar there. All right? And they got to stare down. We don't want them doing that forever. But it's a start, right? All right, let's do it again. So I've been harping on him, relax for a second, about his hips. All right? Why do we not want him to drop the hips? What happens when you drop the hips? It turns into a squat. We have less muscle mass involved, right? That moment arm that Grant talked about earlier as far as leaning over and using that back segment, and all of a sudden we're not using that back segment as much. But more importantly, we set the bar over the middle of the foot. Grab the bar. I'm going to make you do this wrong real quick, okay? A lot of tension, a lot of tightness. People will kind of try to compensate for that by go ahead and touch your shins to the bar. Drop your hips, drop your hips, drop your butt, drop your butt. What happened to the bar? Went forward. It's forward to midfoot. Now we're not pulling from midfoot. It's inefficient, okay? All right, so you're gonna have to cue the heck out of that today with your lifters. All right, let's do it right. Erase that out of your hard drive. Okay.
Are you also worried about more torque on the back when the bar pushes forward?
No, we actually want moment on the back. We want to use our back, right? We want to use that long moment arm of us being horizontal to our advantage. All right, and that's kind of one of the reasons why I kind of look like a sumo. If you guys see a sumo deadlift, right? That shortens the range of motion. Also, you're dropping your hips, getting your hips really close to the bar, all right? We're not using as much back. Remember, what is this whole thing for? Strengthening our back. We want to bring our back into the equation as much as we can. So could you train a sumo deadlift and get really strong? You could. Can you probably lift more in a sumo deadlift? You could. Because what have you done? You've widened your feet. You've artificially shortened your femurs. So you've shortened the range of motion. So you're dealing with yep, exactly. We've shortened the range of motion. So remember, that's for a competitive environment where you are trying to get more weight on the bar than the next guy. We're using this as a tool to build strength. That's what we care about, being stronger next time. So we're going to use our back. So that's why we use this conventional deadlift more than sumo. That's why we like it. Cool. All right. Hold on. Get set up again. Scoot up just a hair. Toes out a little bit. Good. Bend over, grab the bar. Shins forward. So hop hips a little more there. That's okay. So shoulders are slightly in front of the bar. Hips are high. All right, bars over the middle of the foot. The feet are flat. Eyes on the plate. Take a big breath. Chest up. Squeeze, 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 squeeze. Drive your feet. Back down. Last rep here. So you notice as he pulled it up, the bar was never in contact with his thighs. We need to fix that, all right? Bars that starts at the middle of your foot, it should drag up your legs. That drag implies contact, all right? It's like shaving your legs with the bar, all right? Sounds uncomfortable, you guys will get used to it, all right? And then it needs to be back towards the thighs. So I'll cue that right now. Go ahead and set up.
One question, you should be feeling in the position here. You should be feeling the tightness
Yeah,
of the tummies.
yeah.
Are you feeling it right now?
A bit.
It's not a comfortable position. If you're looking for comfort, then you shouldn't deadlift, all right? So when you get down to this position, the natural reaction is to drop your butt because that kind of releases all that tension. Yeah. But we're not looking for comfort, we're looking for tightness and use as much muscle as we can. Okay, bend over. Okay, shins forward. Okay, hips still, hips a little higher, right there. Okay, eyes on the plate. Take a big breath. I want you to squeeze your chest up, tighten your lats, push your feet through the floor. Keep it on your thighs. There you go. Eyes on the middle of your foot, drop it down. Good, all right, relax. Okay, we just did 5 reps, completely setting up, restarting. The next phase is to do 5 reps, same weight, but we're gonna do those reps consecutively, all right? Any questions so far? Nope. Justin, you ready to get 5 in a row?
Sure.
Bring your feet in just a little bit. Scoot up just a hair, just a hair. Good. That, you're blending steps. Don't blend steps. Grip, then shins. Yep. There. Okay, big breath. Chest up. Push your feet through the floor. Back down. Good. Okay. When we kick the bar forward, we drop your hips. Raise them up. Raise them up. Okay, keep drifting your eyes up. I want you to stare at that plate. Okay. Take a big breath. Chest up. Squeeze more, 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 more. Drive your feet. Back down. Better. Big breath. Squeeze. Drive your feet. Good. Okay. Raise your hips a little more. I'm going to not have you stare at your feet this time. We're going to pause at the bottom of this last rep.
Good.
At the top of this last rep. Big breath. Pause. Okay. Send your butt back first. Keep the bar on your legs. Butt back, butt back, butt back. Now bend your knees too late. Go down. Yeah. So we'll get it. We'll get it. You might just have to stare at your feet for a few more sets.
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
So it's here. So step back.
Yeah.
This is the wrong way. You bend your knees too soon. It ramps forward. Versus keep it on your butt, right? Send your butt back. Bend your knees once you pass them. Bend your knees once you pass them. You'll get it. Yeah. But other than that, you know how to use your back. You're squeezing your back into extension. Not all of you will. That might not be the case for all of you. All right. You guys, we're gonna have to slap you, cue you, make you squeeze. You notice he didn't bend his arms at all. Arms, like I said earlier, have nothing to do with pulling, right? Your lats are anchoring the bar to your legs. Your arms are just kind of long chains, right? Force is being transmitted, but they're not. This ain't a high pull. Get that out of your head. Questions?
So men, and Justin is a good example of this, men are terrible at knowing how to use their backs. And so when he told him chest up, what did Justin do? Every rep he pulled. Pull his head up, right? And I'm pointing at him to look down that way. Connor's telling him look down the way, look down the way. Chest up, head, like a Pez dispenser, right? Non-stop. So we got no candy, what the heck? So that's just because he's never thought of using his thoracic and his lumbar. So as a coach, and as you're doing this with people, you've got to be able to physically stop them from the mistake they're making, right? And either it's through verbal corrections or you're grabbing their hips. What was Connor doing between every rep? He was lifting his hips back up. Because every time he was dropping them. But like I told you in the squat, if you don't fix this during the initial teaching progression, this is only going to get way worse. So that from the right off the jump, they've got to get it. And this one will be, this is where the squat too, but this will make or break a coach being able to get people on lumbar extension. Because it's really easy for him to just drop his butt, move his head, right? Because people think in their mind, if I get my butt down beneath my torso, my back's now flat and like it's safe. But for all the reasons, bar placement, all that kind of stuff, it's not what we want. But yeah, good.
Cool. So those 5 steps, and when we get into our groups here, we'll do the 5 steps. You know, complete reset. set up, pull a rep, step back, reset, right? And the idea is that when you're doing these steps, it's pretty verbal heavy at first, and then you're saying less and less, right? And hopefully it starts sinking in, and you guys are good. But don't blend steps. It's not something that's supposed to be separate and then you blend together, right? You notice he was kind of like taking his grip and bringing his shins forward at the same time. That's just more chance of something knocking the bar forward, all right? So be very deliberate in this setup, especially if you've never done this before. Be very, very deliberate. Cool. Any questions?